The world is a vampire.
March 2013, in the city of Electra, Texas. My wife pulled over to the side of the road so we could switch drivers. Before we could finish, Electra City police officers Matt Wood and Gary Ellis pulled in behind us.
I'll give you too quick. Right. Sorry, what? You have your ID with you? Sorry, am I? Oh, no. Yeah, we're good. Okay, your ID card.
Section 3802, Failure to Identify. A person commits an offense if he intentionally refuses to give his name, residence address, or date of birth to a peace officer who has lawfully arrested the person and requested the information. I was not under arrest, nor had I been driving, and therefore I was not obligated by law to cooperate with them or answer any further questions. I assumed they were just making sure we were not stranded, so I was willing to cooperate a little. I told them that we were just switching drivers and that we were okay. I gave Ellis my name, address, date of birth, and driver's license number. Officer Matt Wood goes to the other side of the van. And opens the door. No probable cause, no consent, or even bothering to ask for it. That is an unconstitutional search. He can order other passengers out, but he cannot search the vehicle without probable cause or consent. I had not noticed that Wood was searching my vehicle because I had been busy giving all my identifying information to Ellis. When I did notice, I verbally objected to his search.
I'm not searching your car. I think I'm okay.
To those who think I was being unnecessarily difficult and that the police officers were just doing their job and just making sure I was safe, where would you draw the line? Would you object to the police opening the door of your house and looking around just to make sure you are safe? Search the web for Texas body cavity search for a few incidents that took place in the months following this incident. Would you object to that search? What if your daughter was threatened with a body cavity search without probable cause on a traffic stop? Would verbally objecting to that search be just being difficult?
Okay, well, once again, we're telling you that's not an intrusion.
And once again, I'm telling you,
Okay, well, I tell you what, why don't you just sit back over here for me, sir?
Are you just going to just make it worse?
I'm not making it anything worse. Why don't you step back over here? I'm asking you. We don't know if you're a serial killer.
I was stunned. I could not believe he just said that. These are jackboots.
Buddy, that is a term that you cannot ever say, yes, you do.
Okay, first off, you don't tell me what to do, okay? You don't tell me what to say, you don't tell me what to do. You're talking right now. I'm not there for You're getting that too when you don't need to. You're getting that thing when you don't need to.
Excessive force. That hurt.
First off, we come up here for public safety and to make sure everything's okay, and you come out with an attitude. Totally uncalled for, okay? Totally uncalled for. Right or wrong? Right or wrong?
I'm sorry, who's that to do that?
Yours.
All right, I disagree.
So you think you can just talk to anybody, especially law enforcement personnel, just any old way? Yes, sir. That's either yes or no. Okay. Okay.
I would expect you to just say that.
Well, I tell you what, you're not going to come to me all cockeyed and bowled up. Is that understood? Is that understood?
A quick refresher on fail to identify. To be guilty, you have to have already been arrested for a separate crime. Not detained, arrested. The law is very specific on that distinction. It does not mention ID cards. We are not that far gone yet. I had given all the information relevant to the law the first time I was asked for them, even though I was not required by law to do so. I knew this law.
I'm sorry, what? Doesn't identify. Whenever we asked you about information, you said no, you guys want to walk off. Alright? You're a liar. You're making this up. Come on. You think you jail on it? I will. Green coffee is your coffee. You're just making this shit up. Yes, you are. Alright? Penal code, immigration code, everything in there? Yeah. That's what you were cited. I did not fail to identify anything. I was not arrested. I was not under arrest. You were locked in. Whether you think so or not? No, I absolutely agree with that.
I then noticed the second citation for fail to display driver's license. I had not operated a motor vehicle in the state of Texas that night. My wife had been driving since Taos, New Mexico. We had been in the process of switching drivers at the time they pulled up behind us. Both officers knew I had not been driving, and therefore knew I was not required by law to display a driver's license.
Alright. And the warning was... Does it matter that I wasn't driving? I'm sorry. I'm just asking. You know that I'm talking, and I'll tell you everything. I'm not going to talk.
Wood and Ellis issued me a citation for an offense they were both certain I had not committed.
Just one more warning. You know that you... One more warning. I'm going to take or you get in the car and you're fucking late. Alright? Alright, give me the ticket. I told you before, we're not going to argue out here. Deal with it in court. Alright? Now leave.
2 false citations simply because I verbally objected to their unconstitutional search of my car. To be sure I did not operate a motor vehicle in the state of Texas that night, my wife continued driving.
You need to leave.
Wood marked on the citation that no search had taken place. Most importantly, the citation stated that a video was taken. I requested the video and received it at the pretrial hearing. In what follows, after I get the DVD with the video, it looks as though I was being purposefully difficult by not letting the prosecutor watch it. I was not. I acted toward my best defense in a criminal trial. I had resolved, long before the pretrial, not to view the video with the prosecutor until after I had seen the contents and determined it to be in my best interest to do so. For example, in the video, I can be heard asking, "Am I under arrest?" and both officers responding no. Wood can be heard responding, "You were fixin' to," when I told him I had not been driving. I did not know that these statements were audible beforehand. If the audio had been unintelligible, I had no doubt Wood and Ellis would lie at the trial and claim otherwise. The prosecutor later told me that small-town police officers might have done much worse. I did not want to give the prosecutor any hints lest he coach Wood and Ellis on their testimony. I wanted the officers as unprepared as possible if this went to trial. A trial is not about sparring in a gentlemanly fashion. It is a slum brawl in which you use every tactic available. The state certainly will. In this case, everything hinged on how clear the audio was. It turned out to be good enough, but at this moment, I did not know that. I was willing to watch the video with the prosecutor later if it was of any reasonable quality. And in fact, I did do so a bit later. But there was a real risk that it was not. In my criminal trial, the proper organization of my defense trumped any inconvenience it brought upon the prosecutor or anyone else. What follows are the events surrounding the May pretrial hearing. Todd Greenwood, the city attorney for Electra, prosecuted. Associate Judge Diane Gribble presided. Todd Greenwood gives me a DVD with a copy of the police dashcam video. This is my copy, right?
Yes. Here's your copy.
Perfect.
Let's go watch it collectively if we can. It's your copy after you leave with it.
But until then, I'd like us to watch together. That's the standard. That's what we normally do.
I mean, this is my copy now, right? Whether I share it with you or not.
No.
You have your own copy. Yes, it is.
I'm going to give you the copy.
You already have given me the copy.
You're interpreting the language I just used to say that
I
I've just given you the copy.
I asked you if this was
I'm
my...
not going to get into that. I would appreciate if we all watch it together.
Okay, I wasn't
And
going
then we can make a determination. I can make a determination.
It's rather long, and I wasn't going to watch the whole thing. I basically just want to make sure that it's from the start to the end.
Here's what I'm going to have to do, sir. I'm going to have to go get the police to bring me another copy so I can watch it.
Okay.
I don't want to do that. I don't normally give DVDs. I've agreed to do that because you replied in your letter. So I'm willing to provide you with a copy of the DVD, provided that we can all watch it together now, and then you can take it with you. Those are your conditions.
All right.
If you don't like that, I'm going to have to call the police chief back over here. Okay?
Okay. For what?
So let's just go ahead and watch it together. And then you can have that copy. You'll be the first.
Okay. First of all, let's make this clear. I already have a copy, and I will share it with you. We can look at it together.
Let's make this clear. You don't make the conditions here. I do.
Okay. I have a copy. You already gave it to me. It's in my computer.
No, you don't.
Yes, it is.
Because I just said you don't. And you don't make the conditions here. Now, do you have a problem with that?
Will you call the judge in, please?
You're free to go talk to the judge if you want to.
Judge, would you come in here, please?
Why don't you go get her instead of making her come in here at your beck and call as though you have some directive power over anyone in this location? That's her chambers. You can go talk to her.
I'm good.
I'm beginning to understand why you have the charges you do. You seem to have some expectations about public entities and your power over them, some controlling sense. And why is your boy here to witness this? Isn't today school day?
That's my business, not yours.
You're right about that, but let me put it this way. Render the DVD back to
I will not. That is mine. You may call the police and get your own copy if you wish. All right, this is an ex parte.
We need to call the bailiff.
All right. I'm sorry, this conversation should not be happening without both of us present.
That's why the door's open. Would you call the chief?
Yes.
Would you rather do this in the office with the door closed?
No, I would not. I would not. I'd rather be doing it out here. This is why I brought the boy, so he can see how this works.
Hey, is Chief there? Tell him I need him down here immediately, please. We have a gentleman in the office. I just need the chief here. Thank you. He'll be right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Am I under arrest now?
I don't know.
It does it? On what charge would that be? I'm ready to proceed with the hearing, if you wish. I'll be out here at your leisure.
Okay. Have a seat. Thank you.
You bet. Electra Police Chief Johnny Morris arrived a few minutes later. Greenwood had a conversation with him within easy earshot of the judge and us. That was inappropriate. The video showed everything I needed to win any trial. After making sure I had a safe copy of the DVD, I allowed it to be viewed on the judge's computer. Greenwood wanted to chat about what was on the video and my version of the events, and I agreed. After listening to my side of the story, Greenwood gave me some advice.
Let me tell you how this would have worked in the 80s or the early 90s. There would have been no audio. You would have been in a small town that didn't have audio or video equipped, and there's still some, if you go towards Lubbock, that don't. You would have been here, we wouldn't have had an audio or video to look at, and the officer, if you had pressed it the way you are now, pressed your rights, the officer would have taken the stand and testified that you laid hands on him. okay? And a few of them who are worse than Ellis, in your opinion, Ellis or Wood. Some of those guys out in West Texas, what they would have done is they would have put you on the ground in front of your family, handcuffed you, let you spend the night in jail, then they would have said it was because you put hands on them. Your family would have all been witnesses in your favor at trial, but the officer taking the stand in a small rural community would have gone, the jury would have gone with those officers more than likely. And even if they didn't, no one gives a damn, because it's all, you're having to do all the work driving out there, doing all the heavy lifting. So either way, they would have won. My bottom line, and this is nothing to you except a little preaching, is I get clients in your position. You don't win. The old expression is, you may beat the rat, but you don't beat the ride to jail. There's some bad people out there, and they wear badges, so they can get away with it, and they will bend you up. And at the end of the day, unless you've got real good evidence against them, you're not going to get their badge. You may get worse than that, so be careful, okay? I'm going to ask you a question I don't want you to answer. Do you have a criminal history? The reason I would ask you that question is because if you go to a trial without an audio or video and you're in your situation and somebody was wrongfully arrested and you have a criminal history, you're going to lose because they're going to believe the officer and not the guy with the conviction. And you're not even from that town, and the officer is, and goes to Sunday school with the people on the jury. In small rural communities, that's how it works. You ever seen the movie Deliverance? It's not quite that bad, but that kind of gives you a picture.
He got a little pretty mouth, ain't he?
Alright, so be careful when you get outside of the suburbs, outside of the donut, because when you are, it's a different world. People, you know, when they're from the suburbs, they don't necessarily realize what's written down in the Constitution is one thing, and the real practice is another. And you're just not in the same kind of protections you have in Allen and Plano and Richardson and places like that.
So we do live in a jackboot society.
Sometimes, and we shouldn't. Sometimes it's better just to stand there and let it all roll over.
You better than that. Come on, squeal! Squeal!
These travel safety tips were brought to you by the Electra, Texas Visitors Bureau. Inevitably, Greenwood moved to dismiss the causes without costs. The reason given? Lack of evidence. The court so ordered. I got the news in June when I received a copy of the motion with the order attached that dismissed both charges. I, of course, objected to it. I put in a motion to quash that order, which was improper due to it ruling on a motion made ex parte to the defendant. I also asked the court to deny the prosecutor's motion and submitted a third motion to compel the additional video and audio from the body cameras worn by Wood and Ellis. I would then put in a motion to dismiss with prejudice. Due process is hard to come by in Electra, Texas. Judge Gribble refused to consider any of my motions. Not a big surprise. And the charges remained dismissed. I did my own defense. The law books I used were all from Nolo Press. Beat Your Ticket, Represent Yourself in Court, and the Criminal Law Handbook. I racked up $5.25 in late fees from the library. Perhaps I need to go back to the library and learn how to file a Section 1983.